I'm going to keep it straightforward because what matters most is whether this machine actually fits the way you work, not just how the specs look on a page. If you're on the fence about spending a solid chunk of money on a mobile workstation, I want to help you decide if the trade-offs are worth it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the hesitation most people have with a laptop like this is the classic, am I buying a glorified desktop that I'll end up lugging around, or a true portable that will actually make my day-to-day easier? The ThinkPad P14s Gen 6 sits in that gray area because it promises workstation-grade power in a 14-inch chassis. That promise can feel risky if you've been burned before by machines that either underperform under load or drain the battery before lunch. I dug into the specs, read through the handful of reviews that are out there, and tried to piece together what real users are saying about the day-to-day experience, not just the headline numbers. Let's start with the core of the machine, an AMD Ryzen AI 7 Pro 350 processor paired with 64GB of DDR5 RAM. On paper, that sounds like a lot of horsepower, and in practice it translates to a smooth experience when you're juggling multiple heavy applications. I've seen engineers running 3 instances of AutoCAD, a Simulink simulation, and a couple of browser tabs with large datasets simultaneously, and the system still kept the UI responsive. The AI tag isn't just marketing fluff. The CPU includes built-in inference acceleration that can speed up certain AI-related tasks in Python or MATLAB without needing a separate GPU. If your workflow involves running lightweight machine learning models locally, you'll notice those inference cycles shave a few seconds off each run. The 1TB SSD is another practical win. It's fast enough that loading a 30GB video project in Premiere Pro took under a minute, and the ample space means you can keep raw footage, source code repositories, and large design files all in one place without constantly hunting for external drives. The SSD also helps with the overall system responsiveness. Boot times are under 15 seconds, and waking from sleep is practically instantaneous. Now, the display. Lenovo opted for a 14-inch WUXGA panel, which gives you 1920x1200 resolution. That extra vertical pixels compared to a standard 1080p screen is a subtle but useful benefit when you're scrolling through long spreadsheets, code files, or PDF manuals. The panel isn't a glossy, color-accurate screen you'd find on a dedicated graphics workstation, but it's matte enough to stay readable under bright office lighting, and the color shift is minimal when you tilt the lid. If you need a truly color-critical monitor for photo or video grading, you'll probably want an external 4K panel, but for most engineering, data analysis, or business tasks the WUXGA panel is a solid compromise between clarity and portability. One of the practical strengths that often goes unnoticed is the integration of Windows 11 Pro with Lenovo's Copilot PC features. The Copilot Assistant can surface system diagnostics, suggest power plan tweaks, and even automate repetitive tasks like clearing temp files. For a professional who spends a lot of time on the same machine, that kind of built-in automation can shave minutes off a day's routine, especially when you're dealing with large builds or batch processing jobs. On the flip side, there are a few trade-offs you should be aware of before you click Add to Cart. First, the graphics solution is integrated Radeon graphics, which is fine for everyday productivity and light rendering, but it will struggle with heavy 3D workloads or high frame rate gaming. If your job requires intensive GPU rendering in applications like Blender or Unreal Engine, you'll quickly feel the limits and may need an external eGPU or a different laptop with a dedicated NVIDIA RTX card. Second, the chassis, while built to ThinkPad's usual durability standards, is a bit heavier than the typical Ultrabook, roughly 3.6 pounds. It's still portable enough to carry between meetings, but it's not the featherlight option you'd pick for daily coffee shop hopping. Battery life is another realistic point of contention. Lenovo rates this model around 10 hours in mixed usage, but real-world tests I've seen hover in the 7-hour range when you're running the CPU at sustained loads. If you're planning to be away from an outlet for a full day of heavy simulations, you'll probably need to budget a spare charger or accept that you'll be tethered at some point. That said, the power adapter is USB-C, so you can swap it for a compatible charger you might already have, which is a convenience many users appreciate. The keyboard, as expected from a ThinkPad, is comfortable for long typing sessions, and the presence of an English layout with dedicated function keys means you won't have to relearn shortcuts if you've used Lenovo laptops before. The track point is still there for those who like that extra level of navigation precision, and the overall layout of ports USB-C, HDMI, and a full-size Ethernet jack means you can plug into a wired network or an external monitor without needing a dongle.
For remote